Got a story here that the Space Force wants 6 kinds of space weapons, including anti-satellite lasers. This is on the back of this previous video's story where China demonstrated satellite dogfighting capabilities. And in that video, we go over what their capabilities are as explained by the general. And this is Space Force asking for weapon systems to counter those. And the general here goes through a number of different categories. And we're going to go through just a couple of those. You have directed energy weapons like lasers. You have RF radio frequency jamming capabilities. You have kinetic, something that you're trying to destroy physically, Saltzman said. These 3 types of weapons could be positioned on the ground or in space, getting to Saltzman's list of 6 categories. And his list of 6 categories is best represented by their unclassified diagram of the capabilities of Russia and China. As you can see here, denial and decapitation, directed energy weapons, orbital weapons, ground sight, electronic warfare, cyber attack, kinetic energy, nuclear. As you can see, it goes from a reversible situation to a non-reversible situation, and it gives you as each threat unfolds, its destructive capability on our assets. And what he's essentially asking for is for the United States to have all those capabilities as well. Now, clearly, we have a couple of those. Directed energy weapons is something that's coming along. Orbital threats, that's something we can do. We've tested it in the past. We have had weapons testing in space in the past. Denial and decapitation, we obviously know what that means. Cyber attacks, we know what that means. Kinetic energy weapon, that is hitting one object with another. And a nuke, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. And this is something the Air Force, Space Force now, but the Air Force has thought about this forever. And this is an unclassified Space Force document. And of course, everything will be in the description. So you can go through this. It's a very long piece, and it goes through a lot of description here. It's a very good piece. And in it, and I just want to bring one thing to your attention here. According to a Pentagon report on China's military and security advancements, I downloaded that report. That's going to be content unto itself. It's about 135 pages. It's enormous, and it goes step by step through the 2024 assessment of Chinese military capabilities. It's going to be an interesting read. I'll be doing that in some spare time. It's going to take some time, especially making sure all acronyms are understood. But this is the Space Force plan. And like I said, the U.S. Air Force has been thinking about this for a long time. This is from Paleo Future. Space and National Security, 1963. This is a video the U.S. Air Force did. It's more of almost an animation. Let's check it out.
Any nation sufficiently advanced in space technology can convert a vehicle into a military spacecraft to deny the use of space to the free world.
A 1963 Air Force briefing film titled Space and National Security depicted space as a battlefield and showed just how far the military thought that battlefield might extend.
In the 60s, this was a time
That's in the 1960s. Space warfare is going to be a very different thing. And clearly Space Force is thinking about that, because there's certain things you want to do, certain things you can do, and certain things you shouldn't do. And those things you shouldn't do, you definitely don't want to do them, or you're going to make the situation a hell of a lot worse.
Weaponizing space. So there's an
Yes.
outer space treaty for the peaceful uses of outer space. And it was in 1967. There's some modifications since then, but that's the basic one. And we are a signature to it, and so are the other major countries of the world.
Yeah, but didn't we just break out of the Paris Accord? Just break out of that goddamn space pussy shit, too.
It's a beautiful document. It tries to be very forward-looking. If there's an astronaut from another country who is at risk, then you will go to help them without question. It's very kumbaya.
Okay.
So one of my sort of, now that I'm old and tired and I'm a realist, it's why should we promise to not kill each other in space when we are not successful at doing that here on Earth?
And we don't even promise to not
We
kill
don't
each other
even
here on Earth.
promise to do it here on Earth.
Yeah.
Who are we to say, oh, well, we'll kill each other here, but in space we'll all hold hands?
maybe the
I don't
idea-
have
You don't buy
I
that?
don't have that much confidence in human conduct. I become cynical over my years, and I'm angry. Demonstrate to me that on Earth you know how to not kill one another. Then I'll believe your space treaty. That's all I'm saying here. Now, given that there is a treaty, it says you can't put heavy weapons in space. As I detail in one of the...
So there is a treaty that says heavy weapons in space is something you can't do, but I agree with Neil. And that's why I wanted to include that in this. That we can't even agree to do it here on Earth. Why is it going to be any different there? But now he gets into the physical reasons why. You don't want to just go around knocking things out of space.
Only that. Suppose there's a rogue satellite and it's messing with you. It's beaming energy particles at you and you want to take it out.
A rogue satellite, such as China demonstrating satellite dogfighting capabilities, where they specifically say, observed Chinese satellites rehearsing dogfighting maneuvers. Specifically what they saw were 5 satellites moving in and out of one another. We observed 5 different objects in space maneuvering in and out, showing synchronicity and control.
How are you going to take it out? You're going to destroy it? Oh, now you break it into 1,000,000 pieces, 1,000 pieces. Now each piece is moving 18,000 miles an hour and puts your own satellites at risk. That's the modern equivalent to in the First World War when they said, oh, we have a good idea because we can't shoot them in the trenches. Let's gas them out. So they have the mustard gas. Oops, the wind changed directions. And all of a sudden, you become a victim of your own weapon. Such as would happen in space if you go in and start exploding satellites out of orbit. So war in space is a different thing. It's not what you think it would be.
So what would they do?
So the peaceful use of outer space treaty allows you to have defensive things in space, not offensive.
Defensive is in the eye of the beholder, because how can I defend my satellite unless I stop yours? Well, perhaps I need to stop yours before. You see, that's a very dangerous rabbit hole.
For defensive purposes, it allows that. So,
Treaty aside, though, like
Yeah.
what could you do? Could you have
a
space
rogue
war?
state could take out our GPS satellites.
Okay, but what
And
if,
render
like,
the military blind, and then you won't be able to pick up your Uber, and you won't have anyone to have sex with tonight. That's the range of stuff that GPS applies to.
right?
And so it'll affect our economy, and it'll affect our security, and then our Navy can't talk to the Air Force can't talk to it, and that would be bad. Armies, wars are no longer fought just by how many soldiers have you lined up at the border. It's what have you done strategically to render your opponent just to render to weaken your opponent or render them incapable of fighting you. This is
which is exactly what you would see with those satellites doing that dogfighting, and which is exactly why you have Space Force out here asking for new kinds of weapons. They're asking for directed energy weapons. They're asking for high output microwave weapons. They're even asking for kinetic kill weapons. It's like he said, war in space is different. War in space is very different. The general says you have directed energy like lasers. You have RF, radio frequency jamming capabilities. You have kinetic, something that you're trying to destroy physically. These three types of weapons could be positioned on the ground in space, getting to Saltzman's list of 6 categories. And those categories we already went through with the graphic from the Defense Department for Space Command. Right here. So Space Command is looking for a new way of fighting war, using different kinds of weapon systems in a different theater that we've never fought in before. But unfortunately, we will. We absolutely will. It's inevitable. Like Neil said, he's become cynical, so have I. We've done a story on this channel about the 7th generation fighter. From 1945, 7th generation fighter could be hypersonic, shooting lasers in space. Could it feature hypersonic speeds, space flight capabilities, AI-driven, advances in directed energy weapons? So people are already thinking of this. And would that be an Air Force fighter, or would that be a Space Force fighter? That would tie into the weapon systems that they're asking for. Because you're not just going to put those directed energy weapons on a satellite. You're not going to put those RF jammers, just station them on a satellite. The best thing you could do to get those assets and protect those assets would be a 7th generation hypersonic, space capable, shooting directed energy weapons fighter. You don't want to just knock them down. That just creates a shotgun of shotgun particles flying through space to destroy your stuff too. So we see that Space Force is thinking ahead, thinking outside the box in a lot of ways. And on this channel, we applaud thinking outside the box. Thinking outside the box is good. Thinking outside the box saves lives. And hopefully, we don't have to deal with a situation like that in space. The economic and military implications are just catastrophic. So Space Force, looking for those future weapons. Be sure to tell a friend. Hit the like if you liked it. Subscribe and share it. And we'll catch you next time.